Hello, hello.
And this is the podcast, Girls.
And the city. You are welcomed by your two lovely co-hosts, me, Susanna, who decided to make 2025 her most epic year and genuinely wishes the same for each of you.
And me, Elizabeth, who's hoping that January was just a free trial to the start of the year because we already got to do a factory reset and start again. Very opposite vibes here.
No. I am literally agreeing with you. I'm just like, fuck this. First 12 days of January, no. I'm just gonna change and turn it all around.
It's a very positive outlook because I'm just sitting here being like, what just happened? Um,
And I'm like, fuck this. I don't want to be like that. I'm gonna take charge and change it.
oh my
Let's see
God.
what we say at the end of 2025.
Yeah. But there's like a ton of things to look forward to, right? Like, I at least am excited to go back to Europe, see some family, hopefully see you. We'll maybe record a podcast in
Yes.
person.
And I hope you will come more than once this year.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. I mean, just gotta plan it out, make sure it happens. But I'm definitely gonna, yeah, come in February and then maybe again in April. I don't know. There is some
Ooh,
talks within the friend group that the girls want to go see Europe in April.
okay.
So
Damn.
yeah, we'll probably
Some
make it happen.
someone has extra money to spend on the flights.
No, we're actually trying to find like the cheapest time for flights because like one of my friends, I think she found a flight that was like $350 to Europe, which I think is like an absolute gem.
What?
Yeah, so
I think I pay
usually
like 250 to fly within Europe.
yeah, no, but like usually flights are kind of expensive, but sometimes they do have those weird days where you can catch the really cheap ones. So that's why we kind of try and look a little bit in advance. But yeah, otherwise, how are you doing? Anything that you're looking forward to? What is going to be the next epic thing that's happening this year?
So I'm not a big fan of New Year's resolutions. I never
Okay.
been. I feel like when you want to change something, you should just start and not wait for the next year or New Year to do that.
Yeah.
But that kind of contradicts completely to what I just said in my intro.
Yeah.
So no, I feel 2025 new me. I am a little bit into numerology and astrology, and according to that, this is my personal year one, which is all about new beginnings. And I want to enhance this energy and, look for opportunities rather than look for problems. And I think it's about setting up your priorities, what you want to achieve, be very clear to that, and go for that. Don't accept less than that. Know your value. Wow.
Wow. I need that printed and like pasted in my
Yeah,
like
that's what I say, and then I
journal
like
notebook.
in my life out of mic, I'm doing the complete opposite. But no, it's not that bad. It could be better, but I have high hopes for 2025.
That's fair. Yeah, I think like I'm definitely the kind of person that loves to learn from failures. I'm sure I would love to
Yours or
learn
others' failures?
both. I mean, I don't always want to fail in order to learn, but sometimes like life decides something else. You're just like, yeah, that's a good idea to like do it differently. So, I think it's a good outlook though.
By the way, I
But
love your glasses.
thanks, my
Brings
rose-colored glasses.
positivity. Yeah.
Oh, thanks. These are going out glasses. Though I didn't actually end up going out last night, but I like a really nice dinner and drinks with a friend at a bar that she used to work at, so it's good vibes. But
Nice.
yeah, my friend got us these glasses. We have matching ones in different colors for when we go out to bars, and we can
I feel
locate each
like I've
other by the
seen you in
glasses.
different glasses, but the same shape.
Yeah. Because we sometimes we'll switch them and swap them. So I
Mm.
clearly got the pink colored glasses now because I'm seeing the world in a much better in a much better light.
Just keep them on. Keep them on.
Just
Don't
keep
ever
them.
take them off.
Just live your best like Pisces delusional life. You're right.
I'm all about practicality. Set your goals. Go for it. And you're like,
That's
"Ooh."
fair. That's fair. Oh, goodness. But yeah, speaking of like rose-colored glasses, we've got episode 10. It's about the baby shower. It's
Episode 10.
episode
Crazy.
10. We're
It's going
like, well,
fast.
I heard a statistic, and I mean, I didn't actually hear it from anyone statistically proven, but a friend of mine told me that apparently, like, majority of podcasts, succeed after they've recorded 7 episodes because usually people give up at like 7 and before that. So if you've made
Oh,
it to 7, it's a higher like rate that you'll actually keep going. So we made it over that hurdle.
interesting. No, I did hear, I didn't hear like the exact figure, but I did hear that majority of podcasts would just stop at the very early age
Yeah, for sure, for
stage.
sure. Age and stage. I mean, the earlier they fail, that's when they fail.
It's like startups. What did you just say? The earlier they fail, they fail. What? That's the motto of 2025. The earlier it fails, it fails.
Just like startups, fail fast and learn quickly, okay? It's what, January 12th, we've failed fast and we're learning very quickly, so it's all good. It's all good. Anyways, back to the episode. I'll give a brief breakdown of it, but
Go for it.
we've got the main characters who are getting ready for a baby shower, and it's actually like the scene opens with all of them gathering at a convertible. So I'm guessing they rented a convertible, which is kind of iconic. But all of them are wearing black. So like that's the thing. Like
Right.
usually people dress up in like cute little pastel colors and like cute dresses. These girls are just wearing black as if they're going to a funeral, which I kind of killed me a little bit. Um,
It's also classy, though.
it
I
is, no,
think
for
I think
sure.
like Charlotte was looking good, and I think like Miranda, Samantha, and Carrie were all like, "This is actually type of a funeral."
Essentially, yeah. Definitely. So, anyways, but they're getting ready for a baby shower of their mutual friend or someone that used to be their friend, I guess. Or just a person that they used to see at parties a lot. But her name is Lainey. She's having a baby, and from what we learn, it's kind of shocking that she's having a baby because notoriously she used to be like this party girl, that just used to like show up to parties, flash
And
everyone at
show her
parties.
tits.
Yes, exactly. Um, and it was also like interesting because they positioned her as basically Samantha's rival, that she was always seeking that validation, and it was like a competition between the two of them of who was like the biggest party girl, I guess.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, so like they're both, yeah, Miranda and Carrie and Samantha are talking about how they're losing someone to motherhood, which from their perspective is like it's a big thing that someone takes on, and so it changes a person in a way that they feel like they've almost died. So I guess it is that funeral
It
connection
is
there.
perceived very dramatically in this episode, for sure.
Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then we have Carrie who realized her period is late, and at some point we realized like 7 days late, so it's quite concerning. So she just also has this like thought in the back of her mind, being like, "Oh, what if I'm next?" Um, Sorry, Marvin decided that he wants to join the podcast. Sir, it's girls only.
Hi, Marvin. He didn't join last time, so I was
He didn't
like,
join last time. I mean, this time he's like, we're talking about babies, and I'm the biggest baby of the family. So, um, but anyways, yeah, we're talking. So Carrie, like throughout this whole episode, is looking at this life and thinking, like, could I be next? Is this something that I want, or something like that's going to happen to me? So she basically has that, I guess, almost like anxiety in the back of her mind. Um,
yeah,
yeah. So
and or
eventually,
like
they,
a
yeah,
dilemma, like, is this something I'm ready or
yeah.
not?
For sure, for sure. Because in the last episode, she was contemplating if she wants to get married, and then she decided she does want to get married, and now she's like seeing kind of a glimpse into that life. So she's evaluating based on that. But yeah, eventually they show how they get to Lainey's house, and Lainey greets them, and then she sees Samantha showing up, and being classic Samantha that she is. She then makes like a
BOIB.
yeah, BYB, and it's meant to be like bring your own baby, but she's like, I thought it was bring your own bottle, um, which is kind of funny. And then Lainey is like kind of saying this mean remark of like, oh, is she still like bar hopping and bed hopping kind of thing.
She's
Essentially trying
basically
to throw
trying to
shade.
shame. Yeah.
Yeah, Samantha, who is clearly having this life that she herself left behind. But I also like some of the quotes from the episode were kind of funny. It was like Miranda said that all you have to do to meet a perfect man is give birth to him, which I thought was hilarious.
There were some really good quotes this time.
Yeah. And then Carrie's just kind of in the room looking at all these mothers, all these kids, and she's like, do I even have like anything maternal in me? Which is also interesting, I think.
She's just full of
Um,
anxiety, and Charlotte is like all in this whole in her world.
Charlotte's
Like,
like,
this is amazing.
yeah, she's like, this is like my playground. I want to have this life. But then we kind of get the encounter of, yeah, all these mothers and all their special like motherhood ways. Some of them do treat it as of like their sons are like their little husbands, and that, like, it's just a weird like relationship that they were showing. But at some point we get to understanding like what Lainey is like what looking to name her daughter, and then she says Shayla, I think, or Sheila or something like that, the name, and then Charlotte flips because that's the baby name that she made up for her child.
It's a secret
Um,
name
it was
that
a secret name. Yeah. And Samantha goes in to defend her and be like, how dare you, like, we're leaving this party kind of thing. And then a
well, no,
few
there was
days,
another epic sentence from Samantha, you bitch. We are leaving.
because she stole her name. You don't do that.
Oh yeah.
Um,
I think she did the right thing, and again, Samantha's character
exactly.
showed once again that she's really, really good friend who
Yeah.
doesn't take
Yeah.
any crap.
For sure. And then Samantha throws a couple of days later another party of I don't have a baby shower, which is also so iconically Samantha. And then I guess Lainey somehow learns about this party. Oh, she learns from Carrie. She has a phone call with her. And she just randomly shows up at this party. I think she's like 7 or 8 months pregnant, and
Wearing
she's trying
black also.
wearing black, yeah, but she's trying to wear this like party girl outfit. And she's like, does anyone like want to be flashed by me? But everyone's just kind of awkwardly sitting in the room being like, man, you're crazy. You're like a pregnant lady who's trying to like be this party animal. And then at some point, like it just hits her, like it's just not her anymore. And it's just like a really awkward scene. I don't know how you felt about it, but we can chat about it.
I mean, it was sad because it
Just a
was
little
kind
bit.
of shameful that she thought she still has this sparkle in her and no one really was interested anymore, and yeah, that was kind of painful to watch, but probably she needed to learn that it's
Yeah,
not her life, or she's not that person anymore, either because she's older or just because she just moved on, whatever the reason is.
for sure, for sure. And one quote that was like really interesting, she was reflecting on it. She was saying that like one day you wake up and you don't recognize yourself.
I wrote down the
Um,
same quote. I was like,
yeah,
this is very powerful.
it kind of encapsulates it pretty well. But I think that's the main recap. And then, yeah, we also learned that Carrie actually does not end up being pregnant. It just her period is late. But I still think that the experience has kind of almost taught her something from the experience of others. And it kind of shakes
Yeah.
her up thinking if this is something she wants. Like, one of the things that I also like wrote down, I was like, can she even imagine Mr. Big as a dad and being in that
That's a good
position?
question because it was never really discussed in this episode. It was more like, do I want to be a mom? Which I like, that's good. I think like it is actually much better framing of the episode being like more about me and whether I want to be a mother rather than, oh, I want to be a mother, but is this person a correct father? Correct father,
Right.
a right father.
A suitable father,
Yeah,
a good
suitable
father
father.
figure.
So I really like that there was more like inner reflection on her own expectations from life, needs, and I don't know why I am poking my face, but um, but it's like something that is I would say worth to explore a little bit more also because I think I smashed the relationship a couple of times already on this podcast, being like, I don't like the relationship.
Just almost every
So
episode.
yeah. So it would be maybe a good addition to just touch upon it.
Yeah,
Right. But it's definitely not the main focus of this episode.
yeah, for sure, for sure. I like the thing is
The
what
question,
what
right?
what main question did you pick up on?
So I pick up a question, two
A
questions,
question. Okay.
and I think that the main one is the second. So she first asked, "Was I next?" And then she was like, "What was still buried deep down inside of mommy's downstairs?" Because we would have these like short interviews at some point in the episode where they would ask mothers what
Yeah.
who were they before they became mothers, and it was almost like they all were portrayed it in a way that they lost their identity just so they like could become mothers, and it wasn't like empowering. It was more like, oh, I was this awesome person before and now I'm just a mother.
Yeah.
um so quite negative connotation.
It kind of is, but I think we also discussed this before. I forgot it was like in the first or the second episode, but the
The
concept of
choice.
people, the choice, but it's also the concept of people changing throughout different phases in their life, right? Remember we talked about like how people change when they enter like long-term relationships, right? They're
Right.
no longer like maybe choosing the same activities or they're no longer acting the same way and like that kind of thing. I think that also resonates with that next transition of like yeah, motherhood and just parenthood in general.
I
Um
agree.
is that you maybe of course yeah, you will have to make trade-offs in what you used to do and maybe yeah, especially for women it's super unfair, but like we can't progress in our careers as far as we'd want to during that time. We maybe can after. It's a little harder for sure. But there are trade-offs. And I think, but I've also heard people say, and again, I can't come from experience because I've never had kids, but like people say that motherhood is like one of the more rewarding um, roles they take on later on. And so there are some people who just shine in that sense because they are very maternal, they are very caring, and they do take a lot of pride in bringing these like bright people into the world who will hopefully do things like good things in the
Mm.
world, right? So they take a lot of like pride and credit for that. But yeah, I think that it also could have an absolutely negative connotation, especially if you were someone who was very like career driven, very successful, and then you have to give that up, whereas your partner will likely not have to.
Yeah.
In most traditional setups, their career will progress as it did before, if not better, right?
I mean, it depends also how you divide the care
Totally.
between you two. There are definitely also like couples where women would be working and be the primary breadwinner.
Yeah.
Is that the word?
Yeah.
Um, I was like bread crumble, but it's probably not the right word.
No, you need a whole loaf. You can't just feed a family off of crumbs.
And then and then man is at home, but ultimately there is always going to be some type of decision you have to make
Yeah.
if you are not only a mother but a couple that wants to have a child or children, and there are just so many different. I feel like that's today young people think about having kids even more than it used to
Hmm.
be in the 90s. That it was really more about like, do I want to have a career or do I want to be a mother? Can I have it both? Which hard to answer if that's even possible. But I
Yeah.
think today is also about, do I want to bring a child to this world? Like, do I believe the world is going right direction? All discussions about climate change, and all of this, it's just adds another layer of people really thinking, young people thinking about whether it's even something they want to do. And
Yeah.
obviously
No, for sure.
costs. Like, I
Oh,
talked to
definitely.
my friend today, and um, she was just sharing a story of a friend of her who has a baby. I think it's like 1.5 year old.
Hmm.
And she was basically saying that the mom was kind of ready to go. No, sorry, not 1.5 year. I think 6 months because it's in the UK. So
Hmm.
she's basically ready to go back to work because she needs to. She's missing that part of herself, which is like the adult identity you have, and that's obviously something that is not important at all around a child, especially a small child. And then we talked about the costs, and basically the conclusion was that today you are gonna struggle. Oh yeah, she said that basically, I'm using a lot of basically. This mom, young mother, she wants her parents to come to the UK to help her to take care of the child because the child care is just so expensive in the UK.
It is. Yeah.
That even when you have two people on a full income, so they work full time, it's very difficult to have a child, which is
Yeah.
incredible. Because imagine, like, I think in the 90s, it was pretty common that, and I mean, we are talking about upper class here with Sex and the City, but the men would be working and women would be kind of at home or they left their career to focus on the family. But today
Yeah.
it feels like that's even not an option anymore. Like, you both have to work, not because you want to necessarily, but because you literally need to pay the bills
Yeah.
in order
You
to
do
keep.
need the like the dual income.
Yeah. And so I think that's like another big reason for people to really think about how important that is on their list of priorities.
Yeah. No, for sure. And it's like a number of my friends, whether they're single or married already, like they've actually said they don't want kids. I think,
Oh,
and I
okay.
haven't like run the statistics. Maybe I should do a poll across my friends, but like a lot more than I thought have said they don't want kids for a variety of reasons. Yeah, obviously one of them is like they just don't see themselves in that role, which is perfectly fine too. Then others are like, um, I'm not sure if there is like really a need to have kids, just because they just want to pursue like their lives and their careers and travel the world. Yeah, so there's just a variety of reasons that like more and more people are deciding not to. Um, I definitely do, and I think it is partially because I've I am ambitious like about my career, and I do have like goals and aspirations, but it's not like I'm obsessed with my career to a degree that I just want to focus on that solely and not have like a family and other parts of my life that are
Yeah,
also
yeah.
me. Um, but I'd definitely also be in that situation, maybe just because of how close my family is, but like they would also like come and support and like help raise the child. Cause like that's just how I also was raised. Like the grandparents were always like helping out, and things like that, just because it's more of like a community rather than it is just the parents taking care of the kids.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, like,
That is surprising. I didn't expect that you will say majority or a bigger part of your friends are thinking about not having children.
yeah, and like actively making that choice before it's even like a consideration or possibility. Like,
What would you say is the like average age of your friends?
definitely like in our 20s. So like I would say mid 20s,
Mid 20s.
mid to
Because
later. Yeah,
one thing I've heard, I mean, I agree with you. I as long like as much as I like working on my professional development and everything, I do feel there's just this like something that you get out of creating family in terms of fulfillment and purpose in life or happiness that cannot be really replaced with anything else
for
for
sure,
me.
for sure.
I mean, not doesn't apply to everyone. So I do want to have kids, but obviously not for the sake of having kids. I do want to first have really, really stable relationship and have a partner where I actually feel that I want to have kids with that partner.
Yeah,
So it's not like I'm gonna be a single mother just because of I don't know. Maybe in 5 years I will tell you something else. But right now I feel like it doesn't really make sense unless I have
yeah,
like a partner that supports me. But what I wanted to say is I'm not. I never was this, particular type of a woman that just that she's like a mother type. It's like, oh my god, you just want to be a mother and you will be a great mother. I was
yeah,
always kind of like, I don't understand what's such a fuss about it, but maybe it will grow on me one day. And that's what a lot of older women told me, or like, my friends' parents, sorry, my friends' mothers, and also my mom, that it just comes out of nowhere. Like
hmm,
suddenly you start to feel, or you will start to look at children and being like, oh, it's actually somehow cute. I like
yeah,
it. And then second thing comes when you get pregnant and you give a birth, like the hormonal balance or whatever, it just changes so much.
totally. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And you have a connection with this thing that you like just
Exactly.
created
This
essentially.
this thing.
This thing that you
So
incubated.
so I think it's very difficult to really say how you feel before you went through that, or you
For
have
sure.
that clock uh,
Yeah.
ticking on your forehead.
Yeah. And that's the thing is like I don't think I've ever questioned having or not having kids. Like I've always, I think, had this instinct to take care of things, and that's like from a very young age. For example, I've always had pets, and like I still have a dog. Love you,
I was just
Marvin.
gonna say,
I
like,
like
you literally have Marvin. It's
I
like a
yeah,
kid.
literally, and having Marvin's like definitely one of the more fulfilling things in my life. That it's well, obviously I can't compare it to a baby, right? Because he's not like crying half the time. Obviously, he needs to be like fed and walked and loved and taken care of, but like it's drastically different than a baby. Um, but like I've always had that instinct, whether it's like yeah, taking care of dogs, taking care of like my family, taking care of whatever. Um,
Everyone, you are like a caretaker, even in our
because I love you guys. Like if it's someone that's like worth investing
master
in,
travel master. What is it like? Graduate master? No,
professional
gosh,
traveler. No,
graduate
it's like
class traveling group.
yeah, it just makes me happy to see that like I it's like just like a plant. It's like you take care of it, it blossoms, right? It's the same thing. It's like I take care of the people around me, our relationships are better, their lives are better. And like and it's usually mutual, like, right? There's
Yeah,
always something in return, some sort of feeling. Like um so I think that's like definitely a part of it. And some people just don't have that. Some people are just super into themselves, or they grew up in a family where
or
they'd
they're only
actually
children.
they're only children, right? They don't want to replicate that. And I could understand that perspective. It's just
Yeah.
definitely mine. But yeah, like I don't know. It's also like, could you ever imagine someone like a Samantha as a mother? And that's why I think we
No,
have like the difference in the friend group, right?
exactly. Like there are just certain types of people where you can say, "Oh, you are gonna be a great mother," and then there are types where you're just like, "Yeah, that's not your role in this world. Like it would actually make
Yeah,
you miserable." I think they are like the edge cases though. Like majority of females are somewhere in between. I think, and being
totally.
like maybe it changes throughout the life as well. I have a
Yeah.
question for you though. Imagine that you are together with a partner. You're very happy, in love. It's perfect, and he doesn't want children.
I wouldn't let it get that far. Oh, no, I like,
Right.
that's the thing is like, maybe it's because I've never had like love at first sight where I'm like, usually that information does come up quite early on in dating, I think. Once you get past of like, what are your intentions? Are you even looking to get married? Are you like looking to for that and that? Um, yeah, so I don't know because it takes me a while to fall in love with someone too. I think we've talked about it before. Like I am an absolute slow burn. It grows on me. And so usually those things out of the conversation.
Should be. Should be,
Yeah.
but I definitely know one couple in particular where
Yeah.
the guy wanted to have children, and I think they were probably like high school sweethearts or knew each other for a very long time, and they
Yeah.
were together. Then they separated for a couple of years, and then they got together again. And it was like, okay, we really want to stay together, and the girl just doesn't want to have children, and he kind of, you know he probably would be great father and he's great around children, but he accepted that if he wants to stay with her, he just
Yeah.
needs to give up on this need of having children. And I don't know how important that is. Probably not important enough,
No, that definitely plays into it of like what role does that like
but
play in your
but
life?
it also is a good question. Like if you have developed this like very very deep connection with the person, then it's much harder to just let it go because you realize that this is something you're not compatible or not aligned at all. And I think it's
Yeah.
even worse than marriage because like you can still stay together if one doesn't want to be married. But you can't really stay together if one of you doesn't want kids and the other really wants to.
Yeah. No, I think that'd be really hard for me to do just because like for me, I would say it has a pretty heavy importance. If it's for someone who's like, it would be nice to, but again, if it's not working out and I value this relationship and this partnership a lot more, then I think they could make that trade off. For me, it just we have different values at that point.
Yes,
Like,
yeah.
Um,
It just would create the mess
yeah,
down the road.
for sure, for sure. Because it's like you almost feel like you'll be living an unfulfilled life, right?
Yeah.
Or you might despise them forever just for that part of it. So
And yeah, you don't want to do that.
it's
Or
definitely
like
different, but also, yeah,
version of you that you didn't want to become.
yeah, or like it's just not how I imagined your life going. So
Yeah. But you know, like going back to the quote that Lenny said that one day you are going to wake up and you are not going to recognize yourself.
but that's the thing is like that happens with everything.
Does it though?
Like I think, because recognize yourself in what sense? Because obviously I've woken up in, let's say, yeah, college and been like, I'm not like a high school, I'm not a kid anymore, right? Now I've
Right.
woken up and like with my day to day job and things like that. I'm like, I'm not the kid that I was in college or just like the careless and responsibility free and like free spirited person. Like, I think that happens with every milestone of your life. I do agree that parenthood is definitely probably more of a major one and completely alters your life because you're no longer living for yourself, you're now living for someone else for pretty much the foreseeable future. Like,
Yeah.
to this day, like I'm 26. I'm like I got sick this week, and my dad called me. He's like, "Do you want me to fly over?" Like this man has dedicated his life to being a
I love
father.
your dad. Like, your father is a perfect example of how to be a
Such
good
an icon.
father.
No, it is, and like now in a degree a little bit too much. Like I made a joke with my friends that like some girls have daddy issues, and I have a problem of like, do they even
Meeting
make them like that
someone,
anymore?
yeah, like meeting someone who meets the standards that your dad set for you as a
Like
child.
literally, and I'm just like, well, I gotta keep looking, I guess, because like and I'm not saying like it's a Freudian thing, but it's just like it's the level of care that I grew up with that I'm just like, where do I get that now? Because like I can take care of myself just fine, but it would be nice if someone else could help out. And that's part of my thing as well. Is like the other question like I had in my mind is like because yeah, Carrie didn't bring up having Big as being the father or being like a father figure in the life of the child. She only like considered herself being a mother and raising this child. And
Yeah.
there are plenty of single mothers that do a great job at raising their kids, but I still think that even if it's not the father, there has to be a strong like father figure in the presence of the child so they do understand like
Definitely.
the healthy dynamic between like men and women. Because if I think if there's absence of one or the other, it's really hard to compensate for that as an adult. But this could be like anyone. This could be like mom, like the mother's friend, or this could be like the uncle, or this could be the grandfather. Like just some man that's like present and is like healthy in their life. And that's why I'm like curious of like would Big even been a good father? Because he's so like like he's kind of self-centered and he's just only really cares about his needs and what he wants and like what he can get. Um, but he's I don't know if there's like a part of him that would be investing in dedicating his life to someone else in that
Yeah.
respect.
No, I definitely agree. Just to comment on your previous point, there is a huge difference whether when your father is, not fully fulfilling the role of being a father and parent, that there is a big difference between those children that had some kind of figure in their life. It doesn't have to
Yeah.
be father, and those who had zero. I think, unfortunately, the second group will really struggle to
Yeah.
form healthy relationships unless they address it in some way, like either
Yeah.
reflecting on it by themselves or doing some therapy. I don't know. I mean, I'm generalizing here. I don't know some bad cases where this happens, but I can imagine, like, speaking based on my own experience, and like observing my friends, there's just such a big importance that father has in one's life.
Yeah.
And I would say for daughters maybe even more than for sons.
Yeah. That's true. I also think it goes both ways, right? If like if it's a single father and the mother for some reason, something happens, she disappears, she unfortunately passes away, or things like that. Um, comes to mind. I don't know if you've ever seen the Britney Spears movie Crossroads, but like there's a whole thing of like her mother left them when she was like a child
I
and she's trying to
didn't.
find
Should
her.
I? Is it a
It's a good
good movie?
movie. It's a good like I think it's a 2000s movie. But like her mother, like she finds her and actually I think Samantha plays the mother.
No.
It's the same actress.
What?
Yeah.
So it's not like it's not like with real footage. It's like they
No, no,
make.
no. It's a movie that she was just in. A very
Wow.
good movie. My God, it's a girls' night movie.
I
But
have to
anyways,
watch
yeah.
that.
Like she's basically on the search for she has a great dad and like very loving relationship with him and he just wants the best for her, but she still like basically runs away to go find her mom, but then she finds out her mom doesn't even want her and she has this whole life that's like this
Mm.
perfect life with her two new sons and her beautiful house and her husband and all this stuff and like it's almost like she erased her from her memory and it's like and I think that yes, in that case it goes both ways of like you've got to have like people who kind of are your role models from both sides.
Yeah.
Um, so
Which
yeah,
is
that's that.
anyway, going back to the second point you said, big. I think he has potential. I'm not gonna be so uh,
Not gonna hate
negative
on him
about
today.
it. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. I'm softening up, giving him a benefit of a doubt. No, I think it starts from a relationship. He wasn't a really good partner to Carrie to start with, and I will again repeat what I say every episode. Probably he is not providing her with security that she needs to feel safe in order to step into, maybe her feminine side and feeling like, okay, I can lean on him. He will support me emotionally, financially, in whatever sense. It really is the opposite. Like, she almost feels like, I want to keep this independence from him. And it can be her character.
Yeah,
Um, but I also feel that he's not really making it any better for her to not feel that she needs to keep this um, almost like awareness that something can go wrong and I need to be able to count on myself only.
yeah,
So I don't think that that is even relevant in this stage of the relationship. It just would be a disaster because he's not even taking care of Carrie. And I also think that's probably why she's not even considering talking to him about that. Like,
yeah.
if my period is late, the first person probably that I would tell is
And your partner,
someone
yeah,
exactly I'm in the relationship with, and he didn't even know that this happened. The friends knew, but he didn't. So I think it's just
yeah,
another example of that the relationship wasn't very healthy.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. No, I'd be the same way. It's just like I'd almost use it, yeah, if I'm telling my friends first, like if that is an indicator that's like something may be off with their relationship or I don't trust them or like they wouldn't be the one to comfort me and be like, but regardless of the results, like everything's gonna be okay, we'll
Yeah.
figure it out kind of thing. Um, but yeah, interesting. The other character we didn't really talk about is Charlotte, because like we have this whole thing, like Charlotte out of all of them, we know from day one wants like this perfect marriage, she wants kids, she wants this and that and that. And we see her in this episode as like she's basically taking apart all of her like essentially childhood hopes and dreams for like
Mm.
the perfect
The
man,
box.
the box, yeah, 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 of like the pictures of the man, the baby stuff, and like and Sheila and all this stuff. And I think she has like that worry, which we've talked about before as well, of like, is she running out of time to have kids? Like, is she doing something wrong? Because she did see a glimpse into what her life could be if she would have had found a partner and already started off on that similar track. Because all those women were, yeah, more or less about their age, right? It's like they all used to have similar jobs. They also used to live in the city, and now they're out in Connecticut, basically progressing. And Charlotte feels like she's almost missing out on all that.
Mm.
Like, what did you think of that portion of
You
it?
know what's funny? Because they both, like, it's almost like two different worlds of women put against each other, mothers and then single women, and they
Yeah,
all kind of envy the each other side. Well,
yeah,
except Samantha and Miranda, and Carrie is just confused. But I felt it was kind of all like, I am really craving to be a mother, or like,
hmm,
is this something I want to do? And then all the mothers being like, I am a mother, but I'm really craving to have that life that I had before.
yeah,
um so that was an interesting parallel that was again present in this episode. But sorry, going back to your question, what was the question?
Just like Charlotte in general is like her running out of time and like putting. I think she was almost putting pressure on herself of like I must be doing something wrong if
Mm,
I'm not where they are right now. And I think she puts a lot of that
well,
on herself as if it's her fault.
for sure, but who doesn't? I think we all have done this in one way or another, being like, why am I not progressing faster in whatever I wanted to achieve? It can be different things. So I
Yeah.
totally can relate to that. Another thing is she knows clearly what she wants from life and what will make her happy, fulfilled. That is having family, and like being a wife. And she, yeah, it's a thing that you cannot do yourself, unfortunately. And I can
Well,
understand.
you technically can.
No,
Back
okay,
back to
but
Miranda's point from I think last week is that like you don't need men to have children anymore.
true. But she wants to be a wife.
Right.
She wants to have this
She has
like
a different picture
I,
in mind.
idealistic traditional
Yeah.
family life, and I totally can understand how that is just difficult to comprehend, that I am doing everything, that I can from my side, and I'm still not getting it, and I don't know how to change it because it's not only in your hands. So
Yeah.
I can empathize with that.
Yeah.
And I guess that going a little bit, few episodes to the future,
How dare you? Spoiling
um,
things?
yes, maybe, but I think it's a nice, it's a nice
All right, spoiler alert. Zana's gonna spoil everything now.
link, that Charlotte really is the one who will get everything she wanted at the end. Whether that's gonna make her happy or not, that's another different discussion. But like, I
Yeah.
really like the fact that her character almost is like, I don't give up on whatever I know is my dream and will make me fulfill, and she will get it at the end. Versus, I mean, Samantha is the same. She's like, this is what I want in my life, and she's basically happy. And I feel like Miranda and Carrie are just more like, oh, I'm going through life, I'm not sure about some big questions, and then just life happens to them, and they just, like, I
Yeah.
would say, reactively reflect on it. Like in this episode with Carrie, she didn't think about kids until she didn't get her period, and then she was like, okay, is this actually what I want or not?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I mean, being a woman is always a possibility when you if you're in that situation or not, whether you
Yeah.
want it or not. But like, um, yeah, and it's an interesting point because it's also like, and maybe it does go both ways, but like, why do men have that power over women to either enable them to fulfill that dream or to hold them back from fulfilling that dream of like motherhood and family? Because essentially, what the only piece of the puzzle that Charlotte's missing right now is a guy who will be a partner that she can fulfill this dream with, right?
Well, I don't think you need men for it. Like, if you are,
That's the
interested
thing.
in the same gender, you can create the same thing, and you don't
Yeah,
need a man. I think it's more about finding the partner that will make you feel safe to be able to step into this role of mother. That's more crucial
yeah,
for me. It doesn't matter if it's a man or a woman, to be honest.
right, right, right,
In
right.
general, like,
Because then we have Miranda, and I don't want to spoil this in the future, but like
we
Miranda
are doing
does.
spelling.
Okay, okay, I'll hold back. I'll hold back. Um, but it is an interesting take, and I think like you, I do agree with Miranda that you don't need it biologically to have a man in your life in order to have a child, like thanks modern technology. But at the same time, I do think that like that partnership, and it's definitely harder to do it on your own. And it's definitely easier if you like have family that will support you, if you have friends that will support you. But at the same time, it does tend to be easier if you do have a supportive partner who also wants the same thing
Oh,
and who wants to
I
be by your side.
it's
Um,
like, I think, uncomparable. I mean, we don't know how it is, but I don't think we
yeah,
can ever compare how it is to when you have a partner that you
yeah,
can rely on when raising children or a child, and when you're alone.
yeah. Give us like 10 years. We'll loop back on this episode. We'll give you a fresh update if we end up having kids or not.
Yeah. But anyway, there is one more thing that I think is quite a big theme in this episode, and that is
Okay.
we slightly touched on it when we see that like Leanie invites our four main protagonists to her baby shower, and like you can feel from the beginning that like their friendship, oops, just bumped into my mic. Their friendship probably not the healthiest, but they still go, and it's like this toxic friendship type of dynamic where they don't really like her, and I also think she doesn't really like Samantha mostly, but like they
Yeah.
are kind of still pretending they are friends until this thing with name pops out, and then we see that actually Lainey, what's her name? Sorry, I
Lainey.
can't. Lainey is not really a good friend because she just stole Charlotte's name, but also Samantha just bursts and being like, "Oh yeah, you bitch! Actually, you're not our friend at all. Like, what are
Yeah,
you
yeah. She's more of an
doing?"
acquaintance that they constantly saw at parties, and like I think they were just in the same circles. And since they got like the invite, like they were like, might as well go,
Yeah,
that kind of
but
thing.
anyway, my question was more like, have you ever been in this kind of, or like, have you
Friendship.
observed this type of, toxic friendships where it's kind of fake, but you keep doing it? Is that something that you ever found yourself in? And I don't mean when
Um,
you were like 8 years old. Like,
no, no, like no, but that's the thing is like, for example, if you take like even high school or university, right? You do have friends who sometimes are friends with other people who you're not necessarily friends with or you even like at all, but they still show up and you still have to be like, I think like events like
yeah, but
birthday
they will
parties,
probably
yeah.
not invite you to their baby shower, right? And like you haven't probably
No, but
shared your
let's,
secret
well,
baby name with them.
or maybe in the past they were close and then they grew apart and like that could have happened because it seems like that maybe her and Charlotte were at some point close or like they were, I don't know, sharing like their
Hmm.
aspirations in life and things like that, and then at some point they stopped being close, right? Like I've had friendships like that where for a moment, yeah, you're close and then the person turns out to be someone who's not so genuine or someone who maybe talks behind your back. I've had friendships like that and I definitely like distanced myself eventually. But there is still like a gossipy aspect side of things, being like, oh, I want to know what their life is like, and I want to know what they're up to, or hear about them. Um, but I don't. Yeah, it's definitely not the healthiest setup. It is a little bit toxic, but we all like a little bit of spice here and there. But what about you? Like, have you had friends like that? Just like
Um,
or acquaintances?
I don't think so. Like I was thinking about this hard, and
Oh,
I mean there are definitely people in my life that I felt were not genuine, and we had to somehow interact at some point,
yeah,
or the other, but not to the point that I would decisively, pursue friendship with someone, and then it would be this type of toxic friendship. I
yeah,
feel if I have decided to put effort and energy into friendships in my life so far, they always were quite strong and genuine.
for sure. Okay, makes sense. Yeah, I
But
think it's fair,
I
but
have observed that at my one of my friends. She was in this, usually trios that there are three girls and like it's just two are closer and it's just kind of fails at some point.
yeah,
And this happened a few years ago already. But I know they had this three girls were friends. They went to the same uni, same sub program, and eventually, my friend, she is, I think, very strong personality. Speaks up when she doesn't like something, and because of that sometimes she would struggle with less strong characters around her who would just feel insecure about her, and I
that's
think this
fair.
was the case. And then there was second girl who, very lovely girl, but I think she was more like, she had this people pleasing tendency, or just like overly nice, and maybe struggled a little bit to step up and
Like defend
set the
herself. Yeah, yeah.
boundaries. And this third girl, basically she used that to her
Ooh,
advantage, and
okay.
and would be kind of parasiting, is that the word?
Yeah, being a
Sometimes
parasite.
uh, on the girl that struggled to kind of set the boundaries, to the point that this girl really felt bad that I don't want to do this thing, but like she's requesting me to do that for her. And then
Yeah.
it just like all fell apart because the moment that she was like, actually no, because this is someone else's work, I cannot just give it to you without their permission, you know, like you should probably do your own work. um and then it just exploded, and I know that they completely cut ties with that
Yeah.
girl, and she was just
So they
making a
wouldn't get
lot of
invited to the
drama.
baby shower. I don't know.
Oh, definitely not, no.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just like,
Probably she had daddy issues. No, I'm just joking.
can't blame everything on that. Um, yeah, I feel like female friendships are some of the
Tricky.
greatest things that happen because it's like, oh, there's so many statistics about like the power of female friendships and like what role plays in your development and your literally sanity. And
Right.
I've learned like I know we're
It's
going a
like
little
a
bit off tangent, but
psychotherapy,
like
really.
no, it really is. And then we were so curious. So like my friend group here, the three of us, we are very close. Like we hang out together, we go out together, we just chill together, we I don't know, we might have a job application night together. It's gonna be so much fun.
Aw,
We
I want
do
to
all
join.
sorts of yeah. We'll
Call
virtually
me.
call you in.
Call me next time.
Yeah. So like we do all sorts of things together, and it's like it's fun because you're essentially going through life together. Although like we're all doing very different things. But we every single time we go out or something happens, we always have like a debrief, like just like how they do in Sex and the City as well.
I
They
was
all
gonna
come
say, you
together,
have
they all
your
talk
own
about it.
little Sex and the City, like.
Yeah, like essentially. And so that to us is like very important and like it helps us process everything, right? Whether it's good, bad, and ugly. And then we realized like when we met a group of like guy friends, also three guys, we were like hanging out with them, like we invited them to New Year's and everything else. But we realized that like they don't debrief
I know.
and they don't talk to each other. And
I
we're
know.
we're just like, and it was funny because one of my friends actually ended up hanging out with the guys like after one of the nights out we had, and she basically saw their debrief, but it was so minimal that like none of them know that would actually happen. And we're just like sitting there like pondering, and be like, do they not care? Like, did they not know like or care what their friends did, or like what the situation was, or what the vibe was? Like, I don't know. Do they just not process those things? And
Mm, did you ask?
we did ask the guys, and they're just like, yeah, we don't like really talk about it. It doesn't really matter to us. We just like hang out, and that's it. And I was like,
That's what I
wow,
would always get,
is
yeah.
there what is the bonding factor here? I was like, just the fact that you guys are just same in the same room, like it just
Mates. It's the mates
I don't
for
know.
them.
It's mind blowing, and I'm just like, how do they do it? Because and that's like
Maybe
why,
like they are looking just for that um understanding and lightness from each other, where you're like, oh yeah, how are you, you're right mate, you're right mate, and then just drink
and
beer
it's
with
like
someone, talk about whatever, like hobbies
any guy
and
in the bar is
sport.
your mate at that point. Like,
Yeah, and like actually do not talk about heavy things where you will probably be bombarded by your girlfriend when you get home.
yeah, I don't
Like
know.
sometimes you don't want to talk about any of this heavy stuff, and you just want to like be with someone who will not question you. I'm not saying that's correct, but I do think that that might be part of it. And
Yeah,
I also feel that a lot of men just struggle to express whatever they feel often, that like more than women.
yeah, yeah,
Why do
yeah.
I talk like a robot? I don't know. Uh, or they
But
just don't
that's
want
like
to.
it
They're like,
doesn't
yeah,
seem
I
healthy.
don't want
I
to.
don't know. But that's the thing is like, and I think that's like, and I think I've had arguments with a number of our friends, like specifically guy friends in our friend group, on the trips that we've gone on, is like, boys are just raised differently, right? So girls,
Yeah,
it's like everyone comes up to me and be like, "Sweetie, are you okay? Like, why are you crying?" Whereas with boys, it's like they
toughen up.
might they toughen up. Boys don't cry, like keep it in, like that kind of thing. And I think that's like where it gets unhealthy because like why are you approaching it differently, boys versus girls? Because you can just come up to any child and be like, hey,
Are you
why are you
okay?
upset? Talk about it. Like, what
Yeah,
made you feel this way? And so just like opening up that channel of communication. You can't just like, yeah, you can't tell from the very young age them to bottle it up because they won't be able to express their feelings or feel like it's a
I
safe
mean,
space in any
I
sense.
agree. I think it's getting better though. I think like the
Yeah, hopefully.
generation of this parents' generation
Yeah.
definitely does it more than let's say our parents did. But I also believe a lot of
Yeah,
people should not be parents that who
that's
are.
true. That's actually a super interesting thing you say that. I so agree. And I hate to say it, but I think it's also like an economical and a class thing. And I hate to say this again, but like I have like looking at Facebook, and this is so funny because nobody uses Facebook except for like older people, like my school teachers,
Mm-mm.
and the girls from like middle school or high school that got pregnant way too early. And I'm
Yeah.
not kidding. And it's like these are girls that I went to school with that at this point, like, yeah, they got pregnant really early, so they don't have a college education. They didn't pursue work or career or anything else, but they have like 3 or 4 kids.
Yeah.
And here I am, like being wondering if I can afford even one.
No, that's true. And I mean, like, we can clearly see that in developing economies, there are higher tendency of, or like higher rates of childbirth.
Yeah,
Whereas in developed countries, it's just the population is dying.
yeah, totally,
Um,
totally.
and I think it's just at some point, I also believe, when you're young, you don't think about this so much. You're just like, oh yeah, okay, let's do it. Like maybe, the frontal lobe not developing yet,
Right,
whatever it
right.
is. And the older you get, you're like thinking about stuff much more. And maybe sometimes it's actually not good. Like you should just do it because like it's never going to be the right time. You're never going to be fully prepared. And I'm not saying,
Just
that
don't
was my
overthink it.
path.
But sometimes, like, yeah, it's a good thing to think about it, but not overthink it. But I do
Yeah.
think that the lack of thinking does lead to having more
Oh,
children.
for sure. Oh, okay. No, no, I thought you were gonna say the lack of thinking is not good. um, I mean, I think there is a correlation between not pursuing higher education and higher chances of being a mother for women.
Okay,
Um,
interesting. Yeah,
but same. I don't want to be judgmental on that. You choose your life.
for
Some
sure.
people really get happiness from one thing and then others would hate that. So I
Yeah,
think I think it's all about choices and you should think about your choices in whatever sense and understand what you want in order to be happy and satisfied. If that means that you have a child at 18, go for it. But what
right,
I
right,
hate
right.
is that you don't think about it and then you have a child and then you're just horrible parent because you haven't had the fun and didn't enjoy life as a young adult. That's where I would judge.
Yeah, yeah. No, for sure. And it's definitely like, yeah, context and like situational based because some people are ready and they actually would rather, be 18, marry someone, I don't know,
Yeah.
20, 30, and then they'll be the father, they'll be providing for everything else, and you'll just be a mother. That's great. That's like,
Yeah.
that works. Um, but yeah, it's still an interesting fact. Awesome. I think we've covered most of it. Is there
Yeah.
anything else?
No, I think this was it. And I
Okay.
also kind of going back to the question that was there, which
Was Carrie
kind of
next?
yeah, but also like what was still buried deep inside of mommy's downstairs. I mean like all these like unfulfilled fantasies and desires they've had, which I mean not the strongest question we ever had. But I also have no
Yeah.
clue what the answer was here. She was just like, oh yeah, I watched the kids. Maybe it was me, like was I next, the main question, because the ending of the episode is like I watched kids the whole day playing and she kind of liked it and then she just got her period on the way back home.
Yeah.
So is that
I
a
mean,
conclusion?
I
Probably.
guess so. I think so. Yeah, it's like there is a trade-off that you're making when you are becoming a mother, and obviously you might not be able to fulfill all of your dreams and fantasies. Um, but at the time, I think you just develop new ones, right?
Yeah.
And
So
I'd say we just leave it at that. I don't know.
yeah.
Kind of a fun one.
Open-ended episode of Sex and the City leads to a
Yeah.
little bit open-ended episode of Girls and the City.
Just girls are so confused in the city. Well, next week we'll have episode 11. And it will be
Wow.
the drought.
Okay.
The
How
drought.
many episodes are there per season? Just checking.
I don't remember. You're the one who like was watching ahead.
Don't tell. I. It's there. There are 12 episodes, so we're
There are
almost
12
done.
episodes. Oh my god, we're almost done with our first season. That's so much fun. So,
All right.
thanks,
Cool. It
everyone.
was. Thank you for listening to us and watching, and we will see you, or you will hear from us next week.
Yeah. All right.
Bye.
Toodaloo.